Hi, Ayomide. Good afternoon. You're welcome.
Good afternoon.
Yeah.
Welcome.
So,
Thank you.
all right. So, you enrolled for full stack development course, and I will be your instructor. So, um, we are going to start from the beginning, which means introducing to you who is a full stack developer and what it entails before you talk about trying to delve into understanding the practicals that is involved as being a full stack engineer. So this particular section is just an introductory class to guide you and tell you what you should be expecting and what are the required test skills that you finally gain at the end of of the course. So I will start by defining who a full stack developer is for you. And on my slide, if you look at it, you see that a full stack developer is someone with the ability to work on all layers of software development. So, in other words, all layers of software development means the front end, the back end, the database, and most times deployment too. So, when I mean the front end, I mean the presentation layer, which means the layer that our users, subscribers interact with. When you log into your email application, you are interacting with the presentation layer of the email app, which is the front end. Do you understand? So the business layer is the back end um, that contains the business logic of the application. While we also have the database layer that stores the information about the app, about the business, user records, activities of users, financial details of the application, everything, every data that has to do with the application is stored in the database. So a full stack developer is someone who has the ability to work on all these layers, the presentation, the business, and the database layer. So now you have to ask me what is then the presentation layer or the front end, or what is the business layer, or what is the database layer. So I'm going to explain this to you in the course of this course. So just know that this is like an introductory course. You will not see any real code or practical aspect of anything. It's just for you to understand what it means to be a full stack engineer. So the next, this is like a visual representation of what you are as a full stack engineer: the front end, the back end, and the database. So when you talk about the front end, say front end development is focused on the presentation layer, that is the user interface. So like I explained before, the browser you're interacting with is the front end. And then the front end is developed using languages such as HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So before I forget, just know that at the end of the course, if you have any, or at the end of the session, if you have any question, you should be able to ask me, and I will answer them. So the front end is developed using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So what is HTML? HTML is like a markup language for structuring how your application looks. So when you look at the back end, when you look at the footer, the menu, the sidebar, and the right bar, they are all structured and arranged that way using HTML. So another thing you need to know if you have to develop the front end is CSS. So CSS is like a styling tool. It helps you to make your markup language look beautiful. You style your text, you give it color. So all the different colors you see on web pages that users interact with is being styled using a style sheet, which is called CSS. It means cascading style sheets. Do you understand? So I've told you what HTML is, what CSS is, and then I want to tell you what JavaScript is. So as a front end engineer or development person, you should be able to know JavaScript too. JavaScript is like what gives interactivity to the application you are developing. When you click a button and then a modal opens, is being powered by JavaScript. Do you understand? So when you load an application and there's a preload and animation, before the components load is being powered by JavaScript. So JavaScript is a very, very integral part of our of application development presently. So we have things like frameworks for JavaScript. We have React, we have Vue, and we have Angular. These are all frameworks for JavaScript. You mustn't know them to be able to write JavaScript, but they make your life more easier because of some inbuilt functions they come with, and then makes development more faster. So you can know any of them, and you'll be fine developing your application. So the next thing you need to know as a full stack engineer is the back end development. And then we have back end languages like PHP, Python, Node.js, and a ton of others. So it means that you should be able to develop the application logic. You know, you should be able to interact with the back end. So you use the back end languages to write your APIs, your services. You use it to fetch data records, send it to the front end. Do you understand? So basically, is the business logic of your application. So a full stack engineer should be able to, develop this business logic, write APIs, using any of the back end or any programming language like Python, Node.js, and any other one that is available, just as maybe based on the business use at any point in time. So while developing your application, you know that this application should run somewhere. So after development, you should be able to deploy this solution to a server. When you enter a URL, actually what you are doing is like you are calling an application that is hosted on a computer somewhere. Do you understand? So these computers is could be on the cloud, it could just be a storage, it could be on a private network, but you should be able to deploy your solution to any of these so that people can access it and make use of it. So a full stack engineer should be able to develop his front end, develop the business logic, and also make this application accessible to the users, via deploying it to maybe a cloud solution like AWS, or maybe GCP, that's Google Cloud Platform, or maybe to Digital Oceans, or maybe to a shared hosting, depending on the need of the business at that point in time. So that is what it entails to be a full stack engineer. You work on the front end, you work on the business aspect of the application, which is the back end. Then you should also be able to, interact with databases, which means that you should be able to write queries to fetch records and also return them back to the front end. So some examples of databases involves things like MySQL, MongoDB, PostgreSQL, Oracle DB. So these are applications or database application that stores records for any application. So when you store records, they go to any of these DB. So a full stack engineer should be able to write queries to fetch these records.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Obina, for the wonderful introduction to the course, full stack engineering. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. So, I have some couple of questions. I think please go to the second slide. I think my first question comes from there. No, the slide that shows um, the skills. Yeah, this sorry, this yeah, this. So I want to be sure that is it okay to just pick one of these, exactly one of these tool or technology to learn and just be fine
Okay.
with the front end?
Okay. So okay, you can mute yourself.
Okay.
Okay. So basically, these tools, React, Vue, and Angular, they are JavaScript framework. if you remember, I told you that a front end engineer should be able to know JavaScript. So you can learn JavaScript as it is, and you are fine. Then you can now learn any of its framework, which I made mention of: React, Vue, or Angular. So basically, most times it depends on the business needs. Some organizations would want you to develop with React for them, while some will want to develop with Angular, while some want to develop with Vue.js. But if you are just starting up, like you are learning now, you can start with one. When you get used to one, master one, and then develop solutions with it. Then you can now say, okay, let me know what Vue is all about. Let's say, for instance, you start learning React. You can know React, and when you know it, because you are starting up, you are not advised to start learning all of them at the same time. Just pick one and learn. When you get used and comfortable with it, you can decide to learn the second one. This is just to make you a versatile engineer, so that you can always, move from one technology to another. So moreover, when you become comfortable, reading codes and writing applications, you will be pushed to, develop application in any of these languages. So one most times is not enough, but one is a comfortable place to start with, to be able to know it very well, understand the concepts. Then you can now add any other one to what you already know. Does that answer your question?
Very well, very well. Thank you so much for the response. So, I think my second question, which probably may be the last now, is like, what is the duration to learn all of these skills? I know it's not going to be very easy to learn the entire stack, the front end, the back end, and the business aspects, the database aspect. So, like, your estimation, like how many months or years will it take to learn all of this and be a master at it?
Okay. So most times too, it is an individual thing, and then when an individual decides to, learn something, he puts more effort to learn it. Yeah, but generally, I would say it takes a duration of uh, 4 to 6 months to get comfortable with understanding the techniques. When you put yourself to work within 4 to 6 months, you should be able to develop simple applications from the back end to the front end, and to deploying it within the period of 4 to 6 months. You may not be an expert within this period, but you would have understand the concepts and what it takes. Note, this period is not a part-time thing. You must devote yourself to learning. You must devote yourself to learning for you to even get to the level of being comfortable within 4 to 6 months of being a full stack engineer, when you want to become a full stack engineer. So that's it. So the duration could be between 4 to 6 months when you devote yourself into learning. Then you get comfortable developing at least simple solutions, and then being able to write practical, develop solutions by learning, and then helping others, meeting businesses, meeting people, and help.
So, thank you so much for the answer to the question. So, you said 4 months, I should be able to get a little bit comfortable learning all of these skills full time, dedicating time to learning it full time. So, I say thank you for this introduction, wonderful introduction, and for clearing my questions. I hope if I still have some other questions, I can always get across to you. Is
Yeah,
that fine?
yeah, welcome, Aya. No problem.
All right.
Thanks
All right.
for
Thank you so much.
for attending the class.
Thank you so much
Yeah,
for taking time out to teach me.
yeah, welcome.
Yeah. Okay. Bye for now.
Bye bye.
Yeah.